Hello, everybody. Thank you for giving up your time on a Tuesday afternoon at 2 o'clock. Just a quick introduction. My name's Peter Deering. If anybody of you don't know me, I'm one of the partners at Smails Goldie. Along with Luke Taylor, one of my many jobs is running our cloud team. Today, we're just doing a quick demonstration from QuickBooks. We've got Jacob Emmanuel with us. Hi, Jacob.
Hello.
Jacob's going to be running us through just some of the functionality on QuickBooks and especially the mobile app. Obviously, at the minute, we're living in challenging times, change. If you'd have asked me 3 months ago whether I'd be doing a webinar from one of my bedrooms at home, I would have laughed. But here we are, we're all making the best of it. Cloud accountancy is something that's really grown in popularity over the last few years, mainly brought about by the government's introduction of the new Making Tax Digital regime. QuickBooks, being one of the products, is one of the products that Smails Goldie we offer to our clients. We are platinum partners, and on the back of that, we are able to run webinar sessions such as this. This is the first of many, we hope. By all means, after you've seen this webinar, if there's any other topics that you would like us to cover in the future, please let us know, and hopefully you'll enjoy this demonstration.
Brilliant. Thanks everyone for your time. Exactly as Pete said, so I work at the service delivery team at QuickBooks. I work very closely with Smails Goldie, and they partnered with us to be able to put on this session for yourselves. Just to cover some of the things we're going to be looking at today, obviously you would have all signed up already, but we're going to be looking at the QuickBooks mobile app. We're going to be looking a little bit how to invoice on the go, sending out estimates and invoices nice and quickly, how to connect your bank feed, and we will have some dedicated time at the end, if time allows, for questions and answers. I'm just going to take you through quickly the platform just to show you. On the right-hand side, you'll notice we've got a chat, which obviously everyone said hey already, which is great. If you can't hear us or you can't or anything like that, any issues, please do let us know. If you scroll down the screen slightly, you're presented with 3 tabs. You've got questions, you've got polls, and you've got offers. Now, the offers one isn't relevant to us, but questions, that's a place for you to put any questions throughout. And we'll look to answer them either throughout or at the end of the webinar. And there's also a section on polls, which just make things a little bit more interactive, just for me to understand exactly, since I can't see you all, who I'm talking to. So I will give you opportunities to fill in some of the polls on there. Okay, so I think most importantly is, why are we using the app? Why are we promoting the app? Why is Smails Goldie promoting this? And the truth is, we're looking to help you become more efficient. QuickBooks have invested a lot of time and energy into the app. It's much more user-friendly and easy and quick to use than it was previously. I think the stat that sort of really appeals to me is that small businesses are spending approximately a third of their time on admin per year, and usually that's done after the working day. So if you imagine you've got 120 days where you're creating invoices, estimates, chasing payments, any opportunity to save time with that, save cost as well, that's the kind of thing we're going to be looking at today. And don't worry if I absolutely fly through this, you're going to get a copy of the recording after, as well as potentially a guide that you can follow along, just to make things as simple as possible. Okay, so again, we'll just kick off with a nice poll. So again, if you scroll down the page slightly and just click on that polls tab, a few of you have already answered it, but would like to understand, have you used the QuickBooks mobile app before? Let us know. If you have, that's great. This will be a little bit more information on that. If you haven't, then even better. This is a good opportunity to learn some more. It's a little bit like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I've got half the audience here. I can see it's pretty split. Got slightly more people haven't used the mobile app before than those that have. Okay, brilliant. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the app now. You're going to stop seeing my face, so don't worry about that as long as you can hear me. Okay. Okay, you should all see a image of the app now. So the QuickBooks mobile app has a rating of 4.7 out of 5 on the app stores. And there are what we like to call 3 flavors of the mobile app. You've got the iPhone, which, as you can see, is my example I'm using here. You've got the Android, and you've also got the iPad as well. Now, they all have exactly the same functionality, but there are slight visual differences, and depending on what device you have, you may prefer one or the other. My colleague Anthony is a big fan of the iPad because you get a nice big screen, and it's sort of similar in a way to looking at QuickBooks on your computer as well. Now, if you haven't already done so, I really, really recommend you download the app, if not just to have a play around with it. You can download on any of the app stores, Google Play, Apple App Store, etc. Just type in QuickBooks Accounting. You may have 2 apps that appear. One is our self-employed product, but actually, if the first one that comes up there, that's going to be your QuickBooks app. And I think really importantly, it's free for anybody that has a QuickBooks license. So if you haven't got one already, you can chat to the team at Smells Goldie, and they'll give you your login details, and you can then use that on the app as well as the product. And you're using that standard login information just to get through on there. Okay, so I'm going to take you through a little bit on here. You'll notice we're on the home screen here, and actually at the top, we've got 2 sides. We've got the dashboard and we've got activity. So the dashboard is a snapshot of your business based upon the information that you have in QuickBooks. So, most importantly to me is my profit and loss, my P&L. How much money have I made this year? How much money have I been paid? How much money am I owed? Now, outside of QuickBooks, run a part-time football coaching sort of business. As you can see, it's not turning a massive profit, but I'm going to run to the bank with that £250. Now I can click in the top right-hand corner where it says last 30 days, and I'm able to change the time period on there. So if I want to get a bit more information, for example, if I want to look at the whole financial year, I then get a different set of values. And I can click into that if I want to look at my profit and loss. The more information I've got in QuickBooks, the better that graph's going to be, or the more information it will provide. And I can click on a report as well on there. Next, I can scroll down. I've got my invoices. So what invoices have I been paid? And what invoices have I unpaid? And that's really, really important at the moment. And again, I can tap into this and just drill down into some of those invoices. And a few things that sort of stick out to me is, other than the fact I've got a couple of overdue invoices, I've got an invoice, that's overdue by 18 days. But it has been sent. The one that worries me is this one from Alex Blakely. It's overdue by 70 days now, and I can see it's not been sent. So I can click into that, and I can see, that's how can I expect to get paid if I haven't sent that invoice? And you can see there's sort of like a timeline there. I'm able to see if it's been sent, if it's been viewed, paid, and deposited. And I'll go into that detail in a little bit more. Okay, and again, if I wanted to see even at the top here what invoices I have been paid, I've got an example here. You can see it's been sent, it's been viewed, and it's been paid. I just haven't deposited it yet. But that timeline I find quite useful on there. Below my invoices, I've got my expenses. Similar to the profit and loss, I'm able to change that time period by clicking the last 30 days there. And I'll click, for example, the last month. Slightly different expenses on there. And again, I can click into that and drill in if I wanted to a little bit more. And if you're not sure, what you should be claiming back as a business expense, this is something you can have a chat with the team at Smells Goldie on there. And finally, the last thing I've got on there is I've got my account balances. This is the real-time information I've got coming into QuickBooks, which is feeding that dashboard. And I can see, I've got my HSBC account on there. A little bit later on, as well as showing you invoicing on the go, we'll be showing you how to connect your bank feed on there. Okay. And just to clarify, you should only be seeing the iPhone screen at the moment, so don't worry too much. You're not going to have to see my face, which is good. Kerry, it is being recorded. You'll get a copy of the webinar recording after. So don't worry if I'm absolutely flying through this. Okay, so we've covered the dashboard. At the top, we've got activity as well, so I'm going to click that. And this just shows me all the recent activity in QuickBooks. And again, I'm able to drill into any of this. I've got this invoice again, just I can click into that. But I'm able to go through and just check what's been going on, basically, which is great. Okay, so we've covered dashboard, we've covered activity, and at the bottom, we've got 3 buttons. So bottom left, that's that home button, that's where we are now. But I can click this plus button as well. And this is just going to give you quick access to some features you're going to be using regularly. So again, we're going to be looking into it shortly about estimates and invoices. but you can see there's a whole wide range of different things you can do there. And finally, in the bottom right-hand corner, we have something we like to refer to as the burger button. In my opinion, it's 3 lines. I haven't got such a great imagination, but if you can see it as a burger, then you can run with that. So if you click the burger button, again, this is just going to give you another access to shortcut features you're going to be using on a regular basis, but with a bit more of a visual on there. So we've got things like transactions, so our bank accounts, raising sales receipts, taking pictures of receipts, creating estimates. You've even got a cash flow one in there. So cash flow planner, looking at a 30-day and a 90-day forecast of your cash flow, really important at the moment. If that's something you want to know a little bit more about, one of the polls there, it gives you an option to ask, to say, sorry, if it is something you want to hear in future webinars. So please do let us know on there. But as you can see, there's quite a lot in there. And if we tick all at the top, we can see all of the functionality. And there's a real, you've got a lot here that's going to be able to assist you in your, managing your business. If you want to look a bit more detail about profit and loss, etc., that's something that you can look into on there. Okay, so again, that's a really quick sum up of the app. So don't worry, Kerry particularly is going to be recorded, so that's absolutely fine. But hopefully that's just giving you a little bit of an overview of how you can use the app. And the idea here is that it shouldn't be used instead of the computer. It should be used as an addition to help you run your business on the go. So to send an estimate, to send an invoice, to connect your bank, to see your cash flow, etc. And I think most importantly, this is going to increase your efficiency. So you're not waiting to the end of the day, end of the week, end of the month to do those little important things you need to be doing. But actually, you're going to be able to do it on the go. Okay. So what I'll do is I'm going to go into sort of invoicing on the go. And again, we're going to be focusing on that efficiency piece, time and cost, how to invoice quickly, how to send estimates quickly. And I'll also be going into how we can reduce that bad debt that we have out there by being able to chase invoices as quickly as possible. So again, if you want to scroll down here and go to polls, you've got another option there, which is, have you ever created an invoice using the QuickBooks mobile app? And I can see so far the majority of people, and by the majority I mean 100% of people that have answered, have never created an invoice using the mobile app. So this should be quite interesting then. Okay. So again, I'm a big fan of stats. QuickBooks have done some research, and we know that UK businesses as a total are chasing £50 billion of late payments at the moment. Now, obviously, that's a lot. So it's not per business. That is an average of £6,142 that the average small business is owed at any one time. And with the current climate that we're in, 25% of our small businesses on QuickBooks face imminent threat of insolvency. So the aim here really is to get paid faster so that we can survive, get paid faster and have less money, for our debtors, basically. So what we're going to look at today is look at the end-to-end process. So although some of you may not be raising things such as estimates, I'm going to show you how easy and quick it is to create an estimate, convert that to an invoice, send the invoice, track that invoice, and then receive the payment on there. Okay. And again, if you have any questions throughout, please do let us know, and I'll try and cover them as we go along. Okay, so in order to create an estimate, we're going to go to our plus button here at the bottom, and I can see we've got estimate there. Now, it opens up this page. So at the top, you'll see you've got a customer or project. You're able to click in there and choose a list of your customers. Now, if you haven't created a customer before, in the bottom right-hand corner, you've got a little plus button there, and you're able to put in the information relating to that customer. Now, initially, that might be a first name or a last name or an email address. You can then put in quite a little bit of information there, and of course, that will go into QuickBooks and into the main product. For the sake of this webinar, I'm going to use my favorite Mr. Webinar example. Okay. Next, I need to put in an estimate number. Now, I can add my own estimate number if that's what I have, and then the system will sequentially continue this afterwards. If not, the system will automatically create an estimate number for you. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an estimate number 1009. There we go. The date of the estimate is today. Now, I can put an expiry date on this. So if I'm sending it out to a customer and I want to put a week on it, for example, In the example I'm going to use here, as a football coach, I often go, and this was probably pre COVID-19, I was going along to my clients' houses, and I was having a chat with them about, a conversation about how we'd like to coach up usually their kids. In this particular case, we did an estimate, and actually they were very happy and they accepted it on the spot. So for me, this is all about my own bookkeeping. So I can put accepted on there, I can put pending if I want to send it to them. I then choose a product or service. So what is the service I'm selling? What is the service I'm providing? What is it I'm selling? In this particular case, and I've created these products and services already, I'm doing football coaching. Again, if it's the first time, you're able to click that plus in the bottom right-hand corner and create your product, create the price, the tax code, etc. on there. In this case, football coaching, I'm going to click on. As I can see, I charge £25 an hour. I'm able to go in and add a tax code if need be. And if you're not sure what tax code you should be applying, this is something that you can ask the team at Smales Goldie. Okay, so what I've got here is I've got an estimate, my estimate number, my customer, the date. In this case, it has been accepted. I can put, it's been accepted today. It's been accepted by the client. Okay, and I can put a message into the customer if I'm sending it via email. And I can put a note to myself, a memo, if I'd like. Again, on the go, that's really, really useful and helpful and makes me more efficient. I'm going to click Save in the top right-hand corner. Okay, that estimate has now been created. Okay, now that's all well and good. I can send that estimate across. Let's say someone comes back and accepts it. That's great. Now, traditionally, if you were sending an estimate, you might send it via post. So actually, that takes a lot of time. You sent someone an estimate in the post, they accept it, it comes back, you send them an invoice, and it can take some time. In this particular case, you have the ability, if you want, just instead of having to retype up that information, you can literally just click Convert to Invoice, and all of the information we put in that estimate is now converted into that invoice, and we're able to change it if we'd like. So in this case, in my example, my customer's in there, which is great. Invoice number, exactly the same concept. I can create my own invoice number, and the system will then sequentially continue it after, or I can let the system automatically create one. I always match my invoices and my estimate numbers. Okay, like that. The date is today. I can put different terms on there. So I can put, due on receipt, net 15, 30, 60. And I can also change those terms actually in QuickBooks in my settings as well. In this case, I'm going to put net 15 on there. So it's going to be due a little bit sooner, 24th. Okay. Again, it's football coaching on there. I can change that product or service if I wanted to. This has just obviously helped you take the information you've already put into the estimate and now put it into the invoice. Again, that's the amount on there. I can put a message to the customer. When I send that email, I can put a note in there for myself. That's my own memo. Makes it really, really nice and easy on there. And again, I can save it. Okay, so we have created the estimate. We then convert it to an invoice. So the information is nice and simple on there. And what I can now do, and the most important thing, is I can send that invoice across. Now, in this case, obviously, my email address for the customer is already in there because I've already created that customer, but email address attached to that customer. The subject line is what I've already created on there, and then the message. Now, I'm able to, at the bottom, you can see customize how my invoices look. Again, if you go in product, you can edit this information if you prefer to look at it on a bigger screen. But the idea here is we want to be able to help you send out invoices as you would normally, but much simpler and quicker through the product. So I'm going to send this invoice now. Okay, and we can see that's now been ticked. So we can now see as a trail, and if you're quite disorganized like me, that I now know I've sent it. And as quickly as that email has come through. So I can click on, this is my client's email, of course. Now you'll notice I've already designed my invoice. It's got my picture, my nice picture, my logo for my company, the message that I came up with. That's how they're receiving it on their phone. And I can click review and pay on there. Right, this might be a little bit slow, but that's mainly down to my internet connection, not the app. Okay, again, I can click view invoice and more information. and I can view that invoice on there. Okay, while that loads, and again, that's apologies, that's down to my internet working from home. There are ways in which you can get paid slightly quicker with QuickBooks. So of course, your client can pay via the details that you put in the invoice. So if you've got your information in there, but we are able to integrate with PayPal. Now, as you know, PayPal have sort of certain fees associated with that, but actually with the PayPal integration and the partnership that we have, there is a 50% discount on those fees. And since we've actually launched it, we know another stat for you: approximately 50% of users or QuickBooks users who use the PayPal integration, they were paid within the same week they send their invoices, actually 3 days on average. And that speed to payment is crucial for our customers during this time. And it's just another way that you can get paid a little bit faster. If you have like direct debit payments, you can set up an integration with Go Cardless. There's lots of information to be found. Smells Gold will be able to provide you that information. Alternatively, it's also on the website, which is great. So just something to think about. This is the invoice that I created. It's very, very plain, but you can see that the client's going to be able to see a PDF copy on there. Okay, so I'm going to go back into this on here. Right, now you'll notice that the viewed button, the viewed box has now been ticked. So I'm showing you the timeline here. So we know we've sent it and we know it's been viewed. And I think this is absolutely key. So, the amount of times I can count on multiple hands when I've spoken to a client and said, "Oh, did you get my invoice?" Well, actually, I haven't received it yet. Well, actually, Mr. Webinar example, I can see that you have viewed my invoice. And I think that's really important if you're going to get paid quicker. Okay. Quick question then from Kerry. If you have QuickBooks already and you use PayPal, how does the reduction in PayPal's fees work? You're able to integrate it through the software. If you go into the product itself, you're able to add PayPal. You log into your PayPal information, and then it will just deduct the fees on there. There's more information. If you were typing on Google QuickBooks PayPal, going through the QuickBooks website, you'll be able to see a little bit more information on there. Okay. So in this example, my invoice, I've raised the estimate, I've converted to an invoice, I've sent the invoice, I've seen my customers viewed it, and now I'm going to show you how to get paid. So imagine if you're in my case, you get paid, for example, in cash. Again, a specific example, but just to give you an idea, I've gone to my plus button here, and I'm just going to invoice payment. Okay. Again, I pick my customer, which has already been created by myself. Mr. Webinar example. And what I like about this is you can see QuickBooks sees that I've got those two invoices at the bottom, which have which are associated with this client. So I'll go through it. That's the example. That's the customer. This is the date I've been paid. They actually paid with cash. The reference is going to be coaching or whatever reference I want it to be. I'm going to put it into my undeposited funds because it is cash, so it'll be in my back pocket. And I need to remind myself that it is undeposited into my bank account. And I'm going to attach it to the invoice, which is outstanding. Now, what QuickBooks will do, you haven't got double entry here. Instead of having to go into that invoice and say it's been paid, as well as accepting the payment, this does it in one go. I'm saying that I've been paid, and it's going to mark that invoice as paid. I'm going to click save in this case. Okay, and that is good to go. Now, if I go back into that invoice, okay, and I go page one here, it's been sent. My customer has viewed it, and I have been paid. The only thing I haven't done is actually deposited that amount of money. Now, if they paid me by credit card, or if they paid me, via card, then it would obviously be deposited to my account, and I can associate that with a transaction that I have in my bank account. Okay, so I really do appreciate that was a really quick whistle-stop tour, but the idea is just to show you how easy it is to create a customer, create an estimate if you need to, create an invoice, and if you create an estimate, you can convert to an invoice, send it to your customer, and get paid quicker. And again, as I mentioned, there are opportunities there to get paid quicker with things such as PayPal, Go Cardless, and things like that. What I will do is I'm just going to show you So I'm going to just go off the app. Okay, this is my QuickBooks online product, so it's not in the app, but I can show you just here as an example. I'm just going to zoom in slightly. Okay, I've gone to my settings in the top right-hand corner, and I've gone to my account and settings. This is where I can start making my QuickBooks license more relevant to my my company. If I go to sales on here, I can scroll down, and one of the things I can see is reminders. And this is something, a new piece of functionality in QuickBooks is an auto invoice reminder. You can create up to 3 automatic reminders for any invoices you send out. And I find this really useful. So I've set up one here, and it just says that 5 days before that invoice is due, I can send out the following template. And again, this can all be changed to my customers saying, just a reminder, we haven't received the payment yet. And this is automatic, and this will be created for all new invoices. You can edit this at any time. And again, it just means that you're more on top of things. It's more efficient. You don't have to chase your customers. You don't have to be part of that 50 billion pounds worth of customers that are waiting to receive payments. This is a really, really easy way to do it on there. Okay, so I'm just going to go back into the app now. Great. Yes, good question, Kerry. Does the reminder automatically stop going out if paid before the due date? Absolutely. It's only on open invoices on there, so it's quite a clever system. Great question. Okay, so we have, so far, we have gone through the app, given you a quick run through. We have given you an example of how to create an estimate, create an invoice, etc., get paid quicker. What we're going to do is show you how to connect your bank feed. So again, if you go to that polls tab just underneath the screen, there is a tab on there. Have you connected your bank feed to QuickBooks before? Now, this doesn't have to be just in the app. This can be on the actual product itself. We've got a good mix here, which is good. Just going to see if anyone else. Brilliant. Fantastic. I can't stress enough how important it is to connect the bank feed to QuickBooks, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it. But all the information you saw on the app, so I'm just going to go back a bit, all this information on the dashboard, the snapshot of the company, things like the P&L, being able to look at your cash flow, your 90-day and 30 days, it's all going to stem from the backbone of the app, which for me is the bank feeds. Now, there was a piece of legislation that came into play last September, although it took a while to actually come in with some of the banks out there. It was called open banking, and it means that connecting a bank feed to QuickBooks, connecting a bank feed to any third party is as easy as ever. And the thing that's most important for me, if you're someone like me, security is essential. It makes things way more secure. And of course, the efficiency piece is there as well. So this piece of legislation called open banking means that financial information can now be shared electronically in that security piece and more efficiently. So there's now a standardized process across all banks, giving you a much better user experience. If you connected to banks previously with QuickBooks, you might have had to follow a different system if you were connected to HSBC over Barclays, but we now have that standardized process. And what you're going to be provided with is an up-to-date bank feed, which will provide real-time information that comes through the bank. So you're getting a real-time view of how your business is performing. And I think that's really essential. You're not looking at out-of-date reports. You're looking at a live, up-to-date sort of snapshot. And again, things like the cash flow planner. If you're looking to, ask the team at Smells Goldie a little bit about how you can maybe grow the size of your business, that information coming through for your bank feed is going to be absolutely key. The bank feed does have to be updated every 3 months. But it takes less than a minute, and I'm going to show you how. The time saving on this is huge. You no longer have to print off, PDFs or bank statements or CSV files or Excel documents to give to your accountant. You're able to do it yourself. Now, you are able to do this in the product, but I want to show you how easy it is to do in the app. So I'm going to click on that burger button in the bottom right. You'll probably never see it as anything but a burger now. And I'm going to go to I can either go to all, or I can go to shortcuts, and I can click on transactions. Okay, just wait for my internet to come on. There we go. Right, and I can see I've got my HSBC account on there, but I'm just going to give you an example of how to set up a new connection. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my Monzo account on here. Okay, so I've chosen Monzo, click continue. Let's come up with this page about consent for 90 days. And this is part of what the open banking piece is. You're able to read through that. And you'll notice it says, this allows Intuit to generate your financial reports and other consolidated information until the 7th of September 2020. And that is that 90-day period, at which point you'll have to reconnect, but it's just as part of the open banking legislation. Every bank will be slightly different because you're connecting directly to the bank. In this case, this is how Monzo do it. So I'm going to connect my bank details on here. Okay, I've got my sort code and the email address associated with that. Okay, this has actually sent a push notification through on there, which unfortunately it looks as though the Monzo app has crashed, which isn't ideal for this demonstration. Maybe I can try again. Apologies for that. It never ever works when you want to show people. Okay, apologies that is down to my Monzo app. Let's try it one more time. Aha. Brilliant. Okay. Hopefully it should work. I've done this a few times, but I'm now connecting to my Monzo bank account. And again, you can do this with pretty much every bank there is out there, or Challenger. I mean, I've chosen a Challenger bank here. I've already set up a Monzo current account. And again, I could create a new one if I wanted to. I click Monzo and I'm going to connect like that. Again, there is an existing account I'll create on another demo. Since it's a webinar, I haven't been able to show you that properly, but the information will come through and it will bring through previous transactional history. You're actually able to change the amount of data that's come in through the last, up to 2 years worth of previous transactional information. And again, you're bringing that into QuickBooks. There we go, it's in there. I can review those 22 transactions and I'm able to get more information about my, about my business through that. And I think this is really important. It's giving you back that control. And again, it is safe and secure. Now, after 3 months, after 90 days, you actually get a notification 15 days before. So after 75 days, there'll be a little explanation mark that will come in just at the top of that page or the top of this one here. You click on it, you reconnect, and you reconnect exactly the same way you would connect to your bank account. And I think the really important part here is that it's just going to give you that up-to-date, real-time information for your bank, and be able to, fuel sort of any information on your business there, basically. Okay, so again, a whistle-stop tour, but hopefully that's given you some good information into how to connect a bank feed with QuickBooks. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to just go off that again. Okay, so that hopefully has given you some good information on there. If you have any sort of questions at all, I mean, Kerry's asked a couple throughout, which is great. If you have any questions, now's a great time to ask. We'll be happy to answer them.
It's about the bank feeds, and the bank feeds purely is just reading your statement. There's nothing else that QuickBooks can do on that bank feed. Every now and again, obviously, the world we live in, unfortunately, there's phishing emails, people trying to steal your bank data. The bank feed is purely reading the statements. How I describe it to people is it's very, if we go back 10, 15 years, sometimes you used to send a copy of your bank statement to your accountant. That's pretty much what QuickBooks is doing digitally here.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually that open banking legislation, which is something that was created by the government, that actually means that this is now directly through your bank. So the same way you would log into your online banking. So you're not actually, QuickBooks isn't accessing any of that information, exactly as you said. It's really great. And as we can see, David says that he uses the bank feed regularly and finds it works really well. I just think it's the backbone to all that information you want coming through. It's easy to, you're able to even do things like auto categorizing. So if you're getting things like recurring transactions, there actually is a topic we can discuss on like bank rules. So creating a rule to allow your bank to auto categorize when it comes into QuickBooks. Again, it's all about just becoming more efficient and basically helping you save time, which is what everyone really wants to do on there. Yeah, so feel free to ask any questions. If you haven't had a chance to already, there is a poll. Again, if you haven't filled in all of them, towards the bottom there is, please do let us know. It's really helpful for Pete, myself, and all the team at Smells Goldie. Did you find the webinar useful? Would you attend more webinars in the future? And actually, there's some topics on there which we could cover in future webinars. If there's something that isn't on that list that you want to know a bit more about, write it in the chat box. We've partnered together on this to be able to help you guys and basically put yourselves in the best position with your businesses.
Brilliant. If anyone's got any questions, otherwise there was just one thing I was going to add, and it really just adds on to Kerry's question already about whether these reminders automatically go out if the invoice has been paid. The only thing I would say is just make sure you're on top of your bank reconciliation. Obviously, these reminders might go out if you haven't been on top of your bank reconciliation, but you are sat with the money in the bank and you just haven't posted it onto QuickBooks. Obviously, it'd be a bit embarrassing if you're chasing money that you've already had sat in your bank account for 10 days or so.
Yeah, a really, really good point. Kerry asked how often they suggest we do it.
The bank reconciliation, well, yeah, if I'm honest, I'd do it daily. If you could, I think if you can get into the habit of it being the first thing you do in the morning, when you log on to QuickBooks, it's on the evening, it's fed through. If you can do it first thing in the morning, 5 minutes, it should cut down the amount of time you need to do in one big block.
Yeah, absolutely. It can't be done at the moment in the mobile app. The app shouldn't be seen as a complete replacement for the products. It isn't, but that is something that you can do, easily if you put it into your daily routine. Get it done, really simple. I find it's really good, and then you can obviously use the app throughout the day if you want to be using it.
Yeah, I had a client actually way back in the early days of QuickBooks. They were setting up a brand new business, and their plan was that they would have to work Monday to Friday in the business and possibly Saturday morning doing the books and records. And they found that they could get into the habit of doing the bank reconciliation quickly in the morning. It left the weekend free, which we're all finding at the minute. We're all working slightly different, and the more time we can save, the better.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's that work-life balance that everybody wants. It's the hardest thing to do. We've had some people have mentioned some of the topics they'd like to cover in the future. So some of the things that you can, again, feel free to click on if you go down to the polls. Your receipt capture, snapping pictures of receipts, the cash flow planner, getting that 30-day and 90-day insights into your businesses.
Yeah, I would just reiterate what you said, Jacob. If you just feed back to myself or anyone at Smells Goldie, anything you want to see, we can work with QuickBooks to put on another session like this.
Apparently, you can only vote on one, which is why that makes a lot of sense. Okay, fine. So there's some interesting ones. Kerry, feel free to let us know in the chat if there are ones you want to cover that you can only select one vote on. Everyone else as well, feel free to let us know if there are things if you've selected maybe just the bank rules, if you'd like to know also about mileage tracking, for example, which is good. They're all really, really good little bits of functionality that can just help as we look to, again, become more efficient in that. But yeah, if you have voted in the polls before and there are no more questions coming through, you're welcome. That's some time back for yourselves. I'll leave it open for another minute just so you have a chance. But really, really appreciate your time in coming on today, particularly in the middle of the working day. And I think it's been hopefully rewarding. And don't worry, you get a copy of the recording after. So this will hopefully be helpful. I'm going to speak to Pete about sending out some webinar guides that can help you through as a step-by-step on there.
So just one thing I'd just like to add, which is a big thank you, Jacob, for hosting this session for us. Hopefully everybody found it really useful. I certainly learned something there. I think you always do. The beauty of QuickBooks and cloud software in general is that whenever you log on, you are getting the most up-to-date product. There's new functions coming out all of the time, and just keep an eye on it, and it's fantastic. Brilliant. All right then.
Thanks very much, everyone. As I mentioned, I'll leave it open for another minute. If you haven't had a chance to click on the polls, it's just really helpful for us if you found it useful, etc. But thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.